just don't like. You have your thing. You have your thing.
No, I don't have my thing.
We don't.
He's the thing. Is he fit or isn't he? You're talking about him being 80 years old.
It doesn't mean that somebody couldn't get elected. That's up to the people.
Governor DeSantis, let him finish. Governor DeSantis, let him finish.
Ron,
I think we have an opportunity to do somebody who is in the prime of their life. You don't have to worry about.
Look, I can disagree with Chris Christie on a lot of things, but when it comes to defending our democracy, when it comes to standing up to Donald Trump at this important moment in history right now, I am not ashamed to platform Chris Christie, even if he's engaged in some shameful behavior in the past. Our democracy is so important right now, and Chris Christie's voice discussing the importance of our democracy and the threat that Donald Trump poses is something that I think is very important to share here with you. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. The debate, if you even want to call it that, amongst these MAGA Republicans on News Nation was a complete and utter disaster, except for some of the highlights by Chris Christie calling Donald Trump out in appropriate terms, as you just saw. Here is Chris Christie once again calling Donald Trump out here in the clip I'm about to play for you, telling his other opponents on stage, the other Republican candidates on stage, be careful, because what you're going to get in another Trump term is retribution for himself. It's not people's retribution. All he cares about is himself. Play this clip.
His conduct is unacceptable. He's unfit, and be careful of what you're going to get. If you ever got another Donald Trump term, he's letting you know, I am your retribution. He will only be, Elizabeth, he will only be his own retribution. He doesn't care for the American people. It's Donald Trump first.
And here Chris Christie talks about how other Republicans on stage do not want to call out that Donald Trump is a dictator and a bully, and they need to call him out. Play the clip.
The fifth guy, who doesn't have the guts to show up and stand here, he's the one who, as you just put it, is way ahead in the polls. And yet I've got these three guys who are all seemingly to compete with, Voldemort, he who shall not be named. They don't want to talk about it. The fact is that when you go and you say the truth about somebody who is a dictator, a bully, who has taken shots at everybody, whether they've given him great service or not over time, who dares to disagree with him, then I understand why these three are timid to say anything about it. Maybe it's because they have future aspirations. Maybe those future aspirations are now, or maybe they're 4 years from now. But the fact of the matter is the truth needs to be told. And for us to go 17 minutes without discussing the guy who has all those gaudy numbers you talked about is ridiculous. I'm in this race because the truth needs to be spoken. He is unfit. This is a guy who just said this past week that he wants to use the Department of Justice to go after his enemies when he gets in there. I mean, the fact of the matter is he is unfit to be president, and there is no bigger issue in this race, Megyn, than Donald Trump, and those numbers prove it.
Not even going to play you the clips of Vivek Ramaswamy and of Ron DeSantis because they are just beneath contempt, a lot of the things that they were saying. But I do want to share with you, on the one hand, Chris Christie, and on the other hand, my co-host from Political Beatdown and Mea Culpa, Michael Cohen. If you have Michael Cohen and Chris Christie agreeing on the fundamental issues of our democracy and the threats Donald Trump poses, I think it is something that we need to take notice of and forge pro-democracy alliances. I want to show you this clip of Cohen right here, of him reacting to Donald Trump's authoritarian behavior, the dictatorship over democracy that MAGA Republicans want to thrust on us. And then I have a comment about it. But first, let's play that clip.
It's about the very future of our democracy. It's about the future of our nation. It's about the chilling prospect of another Donald Trump term, a second term. So now, I know what you're thinking. Didn't we already go through this 4 years ago? And the answer The answer is yes, we did. But that was 4 years ago. And a lot has changed since then. And let me tell you what I'm hearing from inside the Trump camp. And you know what? It's not good. It's not good at all. I mean, let's remember this. Just the other day, I watched in horror as Donald Trump sat down with Sean Hannity and he openly declared his desire to be a dictator. He said, and now I'm going to quote, "I would have to do certain things differently. I would have to, in all fairness, double the size of the military, triple its budget. And I would say, maybe we need more than one president. Maybe we could use that word." I mean, I don't even understand what that means. So think about it for a second. He's not just talking about becoming a strong leader. He's talking about becoming a tyrant, an autocrat who rules with an iron fist and basically crushes any of his opposition. And let me be clear, he's not just throwing out empty threats. He's laying out a blueprint, a roadmap for how he would dismantle our democracy piece by piece. Look, nobody knows this better than me. He did it to me. And I constantly say as I fight, I don't ever want to see this happen to you. I mean, he's already shown his willingness to undermine the free press and to attack our institutions and to incite violence against his own people. And if he gets back into office, he will only become more emboldened, more dangerous, especially by putting every single person that would work for him under a loyalty oath. Now, some people might say, "Oh, Michael, you're just blowing things out of proportion. Trump is just being Trump." But I'm telling you, this is not a game. This is about the very foundation of our nation. It's about the foundation of democracy, our Constitution. This is about the values that we hold dear. And what are those values? Freedom, liberty, and the rule of law. And the sad truth that is, many of my fellow Americans, the people that I'm friendly with, people who, just are fellow Americans and colleagues, they're either turning a blind eye to Trump's dangerous rhetoric, or worse, they're actively encouraging it. I mean, they're putting party over country, and they're putting their own political ambitions and their finances above the safety and security of America and American people. So it's time to wake up, my friends. It's time to realize that a Donald Trump second term is not just a possibility. It is a very real threat. It is an existential threat to our democracy. And we, the American people, only we can stop it. What we need to do is we need to stand up and we need to speak out against this dangerous demagogue. We need to hold our elected officials accountable. We need to vote in November, and we need to make sure that Donald Trump never steps foot in the White House ever again, not even as a guest. I mean, this is not just about politics. This is about the future of our nation. We cannot afford to be complacent. We cannot afford to sit back and to hope for the best. We need right now, we need to fight for our democracy, and we need to fight like hell.
On Political Beatdown that I host with Michael Cohen, he shared something with me, and I thought it was important that I share it with you as well if you didn't see the episode. Michael Cohen's doing a lot of interviews right now to talk about the threat of authoritarianism, as Michael Cohen was targeted by the Trump administration and locked in solitary confinement when he wouldn't sign a release and when he refused to waive his rights to write a book or to talk about what was happening with Donald Trump. He was put in solitary confinement. I think it is important that we all, everybody watching this, keep on talking in a unified fashion about the importance of democracy, because we need to push other media, legacy media. We almost need to shame them into covering this stuff. Look, I am grateful that the audience here at the MeidasTouch Network is getting bigger than most legacy media anyway. Yes. But there is some way that people get news from those other sources. So to me, what we need to make clear is that The American people, the real silent majority, stand with our democracy. And that's where this community comes into play. And if you've got Cohen and if you got Christie all talking about this, I'm confident that that represents a broad swath of diversity of viewpoints here and differing of viewpoints, and that we need to coalesce the pro-democracy community together. So hit subscribe. We're on our way to 2 million subscribers, and tell me what you think in the comments below.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.